Yat a Samantha Platero Unisha. Hello, my name is Samantha Platero. I come from Pruitt, New Mexico. My last name is Platero, which has come from my great great grandfather, Pablo Platero. He was a silversmith, and he was given this name because he was a silversmith, and so I carry that name, and I have my own brand, Dineh Jewelry, where I work in silver and work with Dineh silversmiths on the Navajo Nation and here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I have grown up between Pruitt and Flagstaff, Arizona. My grandparents have land in Pruitt. They have animals, a farm. It still is a very big part of my life. We still carry on the traditions of my grandparents, Louise and Ramon Platero. While I was studying, I did do a lot of internships. I thought I was going to go into the fashion media journalism world, and so a lot of my internships were around fashion. I interned for fashion magazines, designers. I also did a little bit of modeling myself out there for showrooms and other designers, and so I was very in this fashion world and made a lot of connections. And while I was studying, I started to work for this fine jewelry designer who I at the time was doing I was modeling for the show, this designer, and he invited this jewelry designer to come and show. And so I met her, and she's also American, but she'd been living in London for a long time. She studied there as well, and we got on really well, and she asked if I wanted to work for her part-time while I was still studying, and I did, and we built this beautiful connection, and her business was slowly growing, and I helped her with her business and it grow, and I was her right-hand person. I traveled with her everywhere. I was designing with her. I'd meet with this goldsmiths, and it felt like home because the goldsmiths that she would work with in London, everything was handmade and everything was beautiful and masterly crafted, and it reminded me a lot of my grandparents, and it felt really comfortable and at home for me, so I really enjoyed it. And then after graduating, I ended up working for her full time and realized that put aside my journalism and media studies degree to go work for this fine jewelry designer, and I did, and was able to travel all over the world, meet so many people, and make connections, and actually realize that you could have an international jewelry brand and be successful at it. And I didn't know that until I worked for her. And then at one point I realized I wanted to move to Paris, and I've always wanted to live there. And she was very supportive of me in moving to Paris, and I could still continue to work for her there. She had many clients, and I was able to live this Parisian life and for a year, and also be able to still work for her. And so after a year, she asked if I could move back to London to fully work for her, because her business just had taken off at that point and she really needed someone there. And so I moved back to London and worked with her again for another year. So totaling almost 5 years I worked for her. And then I decided I didn't want to be in London anymore and wanted to move closer to home, and so I moved to LA and lived there for 2.5 years. Worked with her for another 6 months there, but then decided to work for another fine jewelry designer, and who to this day is a big role model for me. She really had the elegance and the class and the style and the heart and the love and everything that she did, and as the other jewelry designer I worked for as well. But as I would go home more often, I saw that Native American jewelry wasn't as I went home, I would go to different Indian markets and things with my family, and I noticed that the quality and the craftsmanship of the jewelry didn't seem as I remember that my grandparents used to make. And after soon also realizing that a lot of the jewelry that is being sold in these trading posts or elsewhere, you didn't even know where it was coming from. Like 80% of it was not even actually being made by actual craftsmen. It was being made abroad or elsewhere. And so a lot of people were becoming weary of buying Native American jewelry because they didn't know if it was real or authentic or where everything was coming from. And so I decided to do research while I was still working in LA and went to various Indian markets and met a lot of silversmiths and really talented people. And I found a silversmith that was based in Santa Fe. He's Dineh from Gallup, and he's comes from the Benali family, which is also a very prominent family that has had generations of silversmithing in their family. So he had been making jewelry since he was 18, and he's in his 40s, so he has a lot of experience, but his quality was exactly what I was looking for, and we kept in contact. And finally I decided one day that I just wanted to move closer to home, and so I decided to move to Santa Fe and work with him, and not really knowing where anything was going to go or what was going to happen. And so I moved here, only knowing him really, and we decided to create my first collection. And when I moved here, I had a friend from London who was working for this showroom, and she told me she was going to be in Dallas and that I should drive down and come see her, because when am I going to be, so close to her driving? And so she told me to come to this opening of this store that was opening in Dallas, and there were designers from the showroom that she works with that were going to be there, and that I should just come down. And so I did, and I ended up meeting the showroom director, and one of the showroom directors, and I told him what I was doing, and he loved everything about it and loved the story and where coming home and realizing what I wanted to do. And he told me that let's keep in contact, and because I actually didn't even have any pieces actually made at that point. They were in the design process. So I came back here, and he spoke to his wife at the time. She's Japanese, and he told her about me, and she immediately told my friend who was working for the showroom that she wanted me to come and show my collection that September during Fashion Week in Paris, because they have a showroom in Paris, and they show every men and women's fashion week. And so it really put it really made me have to finish this collection in time for September, and I said I would do it, and I had to get the lookbooks together, I had to get the photo shoots together, I had to get everything together within 3 months, and the collection. So it really put all this pressure on me to get all this done, and she really believed that I would do well in Japan because they love Native American jewelry and they love the quality and craftsmanship. And she was just like, you have the story, you have everything about it, but you're also a modern person too. And I think it could be refreshing to bring in something with a new vision, a new idea of what, in my own interpretation of what everything I grew up with, but also living in this very modern world and traveling. And so both of them were very supportive. And so I flew out to Paris, and that was the first time I ever showed my collection, and it was a success. She was right. All the Japanese buyers loved the collection. They loved the story. But even then, I think it was a little too modern for them. I mean, they liked it and they did buy into it. My first store was Barney's in Japan. They liked it, but I think it took a little time for it to settle in, and the modernism or how different it was to them. It wasn't just, the traditional squash blossoms, it was ideas and techniques of it. And so I would go back every 3-4 months for the fashion weeks, because my collection is unisex, so I was able to go back for women's fashion week and men's fashion week. But then I soon realized that actually the men really liked my jewelry more so than the women buyers, and so I would go I just kind of blew up in the men's era jewelry world in Japan. I love people, and I love meeting new people, and I love sharing my passion and talking about who I am, and coming from a place of how I was brought up, and my traditions, and just speaking from my heart. I think a lot of people can feel that, and so they just want to know more, and they just love everything about the story and the brand. And so a lot of clients will then say, oh, let's go for dinner. And then we go for dinner, and then we get to know each other a bit more. And it's with the showroom as well, and some of the other designers. So it was just I feel like the relationships were built on just dinners. Like taking it, because everyone has to go to dinner after the showroom, and so sometimes even the showroom directors would invite some of the big buyers to dinners, and so that way I got to meet them more and talk to them a bit more. And then some of the buyers actually have come out to Santa Fe and visited me, and I've taken them around to the Navajo Nation, and they've seen some of the artisans I work with out there. And I've had about 4 stores come out just to see me, and they all love Santa Fe. And so yeah, also that, and building that relationship with them that way, so they could actually see where I come from, see the land and my people, and really get a full understanding of what it means to be me. And so then the brand in itself just becomes more colorful, and they have more to say about it. And so that has been a good way of building relationships with the buyers. So it was just working within what I had at the time, and then soon realized that I wanted to work with other people. I also needed high quality product shots. I needed to figure out how to make line sheets and all of those things. And my website, I needed to figure out how to build my own website, in which I did, but I also needed the photography to be at a certain level. And so now I have someone who just does product shots for me, and that's all they do. I have a couple of other photographers who will shoot my campaigns, and so everyone kind of has their own jobs, and I think that's really important, because I can't do everything alone. I tried, and I have, but I'm running the business, I'm designing, I'm doing everything else, and I need people who can be good at what they do, and so I can bring them on and not worry about, and trust them and let them do what they're talented at, and I can do what I'm good at. And so it's been really nice to figure out this team, and working with my silversmith here is just so amazing. He's so talented, and he's a perfectionist, and everyone I work with, I have high standards, and I need my my team to be working at a very high level, because this is my heart and soul, and I really need it to be held at a high level, because I am competing with international brands. I need to keep it at that level as well. So yes, it's very important. And also down to my accountant and my financial advisor. She helps me out so much. Like, she knows so much, and she really talks me through things. She's the best. And so it's just getting a team that is really good at what they do. And so then that allows me to be the best that I can be at what I do. And I think it's very important to have a team. So my uncle told me about this program called Native Entrepreneurs in Residence, and he said that it could be really good for me because they help you draw a business plan, they help you find investors if that's what you need, and he had known some people who'd gone through the program and they really liked it, and so I applied for it and I got it, and it was very, very helpful in developing my ideas and becoming really clear in what I wanted for my business. And they really gave me the tools to figure my business part out, because I knew what I wanted, I knew creative wise where I wanted to go, but actually writing it down and getting it very clear and having concise points, and I didn't have that. So Nia really gave me those tools, and even after that I was able to get in touch with investors, and I actually have investment now, and thankful to this program, I actually was able to take it even the next step, and in meeting people from Native Community Capital. I have been connected with a financial advisor, accountant, who's also Dineh, runs her own business, and she's helped me a lot as well. So Nia really opened up the doors to all of these people who are very successful in what they do, and because I don't have those tools, so they were able to open these doors up to me and work with some really great people who have then taught me even more, even the process of getting investors and taking it to that next step, and what that means, and getting documents together, the right language to speak to investors, to the financials, the everything. And so Nia really opened up those doors for me.